So let's dive in and have a look at what's on this week's weekly watch list. We're going to have this video uploaded before the week, so you're going to have a chance to go through all of these pairs with us, what our thoughts on where we think the market's going to be going, and of course if it matches up with your analysis, then you can look to maybe use it as a confluence to get in position. So we're going to work our way from the top down as always. As you can see, there's a lot of pairs on here. Of course, we're not going to be looking to dive into a lot of these pairs in terms of getting in live trades. It's just more scoping the landscape and making sure that we are picking the right one. So first of all, we're going to start with Euro JPY and what we're able to see. Again, we're going to try and go through these pretty fast because by this point, if you're watching these videos, you're going to sort of understand how we look at the markets, and we're not going to bore you every single time explaining the ins and outs of how we trade. You'll be able to see almost from a glance exactly what we're looking at and how we are looking to trade the market. So price action, you can see it is bullish. Okay, we have been moving up, we've been moving up, and we've been moving up. So now we have started to retrace. Now you can see that's a pretty good retracement for the weekly time frame, and you can see we are sort of halting at this area of support around about the 128.420 mark, just above 128.000. So price action stalling. We're looking to see what's going to be happening. You can see that we are in a bearish trend right now, but I do think it is that pullback to this longer term bullish move, and I do think we could see price action come back up to around these highs, around the 134 mark. So but again, we're going to be just be monitoring price action, mainly on the 4 hour, the 1 hour. We've got all the levels plotted out. We know what price action is doing. You can see price action having quite a strong bullish momentum candle. It's engulfed all these candles that were just before it, and we have closed for this week's end. So what would we be looking for? We're just going to be looking to see what price action is going to be doing in this area, and if we can get a convincing break out of the pattern upwards or a convincing break below. But right now, nothing to really take action on. NZD USD, again, nothing really to be taking action on, but we're coming to quite an interesting point. We'll come back down into an area of quite significance, I would say, because once price action comes back down into an area like this, you have to really monitor the price action to see where it potentially could go. But I think this is an area definitely to be looking out for. The sellers quite clearly are in control right now, but we could just be retracing, coming back down, and then maybe finding some buyers back in an area like this to take this up higher. But again, it's going to be down to monitoring the price action. So GBP, GBY, another interesting pair that's hard to ignore. This bullish trend line that we're slowly coming back into price actions, floating its way into that area. You can see that we've had this area of support, 3 great touches, 4 great touches, now we're coming back into this area. So definitely a piece of price action that we want to be monitoring closely, because I do think it will develop pretty nicely this week. We could, however, break below, maybe get that retest and start to look at filling some gaps, maybe come all the way back down to an area like this that sticks out pretty nicely, something like this, and then you maybe even could get that break, retest back into an area like this, and then maybe down. But again, knowing how to react to the market in either a buy or a sell based on whatever currency pair you're looking at is of course what you want to be doing. Again, Aussie JPY, really nice. I mean, I like to look at this. I would wait for a little pullback, maybe in an area like so, maybe in an area like this. Maybe if you throw on small Fibonacci, yeah, 0.61. I mean, it has potential, but that's what we'd be looking for. We'd be looking for that pullback in an area like this, and maybe take it back down to the lows, or maybe even see how far we can go down. Maybe come down in an area like this all the way across. But again, that's what we're looking for in Aussie JPY. GBP USD, again, another really interesting pair right now. Sort of just been floating from left to right. You can see this area in the markets. If we go to the daily time frame, we'll be able to see it a lot more clearly. But you can see we have respected this area very, very well, and now we're coming back into it. Could potentially be a double bottom, and then we could see some buyers step into the market and drive price action higher. If not, we will look to take trades lower. But right now we just really need to be monitoring the price action and see what it wants to do. So Euro GBP, again, really nice trade. We've broken out this descending pennant pattern, descending wedge. We thought we were going to get this breakout here, but just a market trap, pushed back down, used it as resistance again, came back, found support at the bottom, and now we have broken out. So really what we want to see is a little bit of stalling, coming back down maybe into an area around about this zone here, where you can see we found market support, and then we can maybe look to take price action back up to these highs. You know, so something along the lines of that. But again, we'll just wait and see what the market gives us. There's lots of good opportunities right now, but again, it's finding the right ones, the good risk to rewards, and not getting caught up in them all, and knowing the difference between looking at three pairs that have all, you know, Swiss related. Don't be trying to get in all three. Pick the best one, the best risk to reward, and you'll do much better that way. So moving on to 𝗙់another really interesting pair, because you can see this massive hammer candle that's just been printed right on this area of support, right on the bottom of this trend line that made up this bullish channel, and now we are just going to have to wait and see what happens. Again, like anything, we've got plans for the price action moving up, we've got plans for price action moving down. So again, really good scenarios. We've got gold now coming back above this bullish trend line that got broken. We found that area of support where we've seen this double bottom at 1678.370. Now we're pushing back up. I think we might actually come back down in an area like this, use that as support, and then drive up higher. But again, we'll have to monitor, and we will be prepared for buys or sells. So USD CAD, a really strong gravestone. So a really strong gravestone doji on the daily, so really significant. I do think we're going to retrace. We are maybe going to come back into that 0.5 mark where you see here on, we'll go down to the 4 hour, we'll see a little bit more clearly. You can see that area of sensitivity in the market where we formed that nice little peak. Matches nicely with the 0.5, which matches nicely in here. So I do think we're going to sort of come back down, hopefully round off. But again, if we do break low, we're prepared for further sales. 𝗙𝗎𝗧, again, this is what we're looking for. Hopefully we'll be able to see price action retrace, and we might actually even be able to get one, considering it's went so high, come back down in an area like this. So we do have multiple options, but again, very bullish. You can see how we're reacting here. We're moving, we're pulsing, we're going to come back down because we're extended quite a bit now. You can see the market is starting to slow down, and then I do think we're going to get that pullback. So Euro USD, we took a little buy trade here, but we closed it. I found real strong resistance, dynamic resistance with the 50 EMA on the daily. So, and then ever since we created the lower low, lower high, another lower low. But this is a really big area of support to be watching out for. So I do expect price action to stall a little bit, and then if we do get that break below, we can get in. But again, looking at the way this is shaping up, this could potentially be another. Let's go down to the hourly. So yeah, this could potentially be another descending wedge pattern, descending pin. If we just go ahead and delete this, you'll be able to see it a little bit more clearly. You can see this wick here. There's a real big wick that has been filled. That is the very first touch point, and you can see if we go down, you get another couple of really nice touches, and then another touch, and now we're sort of starting to round off. I do think we could, if we create a lower high here, so a higher high breaking these highs, higher low, then we could then push up is what I'm thinking for Euro USD. So again, we will be looking to monitor to see what price action is giving us. So GBP Aussie, see real nice here. We really want to be having a break of this. That would be good, and that would be significant enough for us to say, okay, this will allow us another confluence and trust to put our money into a sell if we do get that pullback, and then maybe just into an area of support, or maybe even just into, could come all the way back down to something like this. Nice area where you see this triple top. Maybe an area like this. Because we are looking like we have had enough of the bullish momentum, and it looks like we're going to retrace just a little bit more. Now, looking at this, you can see we have broken, I think, a trend line just by eye. Nope, we're sort of just coming back into it now. That's an interesting position. So again, really, we want to see this area broken 100%, because if this area is not broken, then the chance of it going lower and being bearish, at least for the short term, at least down to an area like this, is no point putting your money into that. You need to wait and see what the price action is telling you, what the candlesticks behaving like, what is the volume in the markets, and how are we reacting. Now, typically, when we are at the bottom of the market, when we are pushing down and we're hitting, like we're bottoming out the market, I will typically round off. And then inversely, if you're at the top of the market, we've shot up, there's not so much a rounding off that happens, although you do get tiny little bit of a rounding in, because what you really want to be looking for, if you have a push out of a pattern, you do want it to round ever so slightly. But typically speaking, if you probably noticed this if you've been looking at the charts for quite some time now, you'll see at the bottom of the markets, let's see if we could just try and find some quickly so we can see what we're talking about. So you can see price action here comes down, and then you can see the wicks pushing, and then so rounding in off. You see that rounding in off of the market, and then you can see just a lot of things like this. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candles, and then just for it to sharply turn, there's just 1, 2, boom, it goes. And again, look, 1, boom, it's going. So not all the time, but typically speaking, that's what happens the majority of the time. If you're at the top of the market will drop a little bit sharper. If you're at the bottom of the market, or you're at the end of a phase where you're going in a bearish direction and you're looking to go back up, it will round off a little bit more, and it will be a little bit more obvious, typically speaking. So one good thing to note though, as you can see, we have a gravestone doji, which is obviously a sign that the sellers have been firmly in control, because the buyers have tried to push price action back up, and we've closed pretty much where we've opened almost. And if you go down to the hourly, you'll see how steep this trend line. Now obviously trend lines like this that are as steep as this typically get broken faster, and we will look to come back down in an area like this. So further pullbacks, I think, is more probable for GBP Aussie. But again, whatever the price action the market decides to do, we're going to capitalise on. 𝗙𝗙𝗋𝗋, we've just done a YouTube video on this. Again, really interesting. I'm not going to go over it too much, but we've got a broadening channel coming back down into the 0.68 Fibonacci from this low to this high. And now we're seeing some real stall. We're just going to be monitoring price action to see if we can get some legs to push price action back out of this, I would call a flag pattern, ever so broadening, back to the highs just around the 0.67 mark. So that's what we're looking for 𝗙𝗙𝗋𝗋. Aussie USD, see what's happening here. We've sold off pretty hard, we're coming down at a nice big area of support. All we're looking for is to monitor price action. Are we going lower, or do we start working our way back up? Real nice and simple. 𝗙𝗙𝗋𝗋, massive hammer candle printed on Friday. You can see we had real strong resistance at this trend line. If we go to the weekly, you'll be able to see it better. Real strong resistance. Because it's a weekly trend line, of course it holds more weight when price action comes back in. You see the real struggle that it had and then the massive sell-off. So we could be coming back down into areas like so. But if you were to take, maybe for example, this low to this high, where could we potentially be coming back into it? You can see we've hit the 0.618 perfectly, and it's right in line with this area of resistance, now coming back down to be retested as support. So definitely one to be looking out for, but again, I'm not really too sure personally where this is going to be going. I mean, let's see if we can. It's pretty much what we're seeing right now. So we could actually just retrace here, retrace this bearish move, retrace, find resistance around about 0.71470, and then make a next leg down just above 0.70000. So around about 0.70376, in and around that area we could come lower and then start to find some buyers back up. But it's an interesting pair to be looking at right now. And then of course we are coming back into that 50 EMA as resistance, we're coming back into that Fibonacci level as resistance, so it does look likely that we could roll over back down again before we see some buyers step back into the market, because price action of course is getting squeezed. You can see it's getting squeezed, so we might come back down into an area like this and then break out of that pattern. So again, some really nice interesting trades coming up. Aussie ends of the day, nothing too special on this pair. We're just coming back into that real nice area, so we wanted to make sure that we see what's happening with that price action, and then we could go down to the 4 hour, the 1 hour, start to really develop patterns, trend lines, levels, to then drive that price action to bigger targets. Because as you can see, the last time we came here, we did have that big push off, so we want to be making sure that we do know and pay attention to when the markets are coming into these big levels. But again, a little bit more development needed. 𝗙𝗹𝗶𝗄 led this trend line, but it's not really getting respected anymore. Maybe we could find another one. Exactly, there we go, perfect. So if we just take some of this away, we're just consolidating right now in the weekly. We go down to the daily. This is a big weekly channel, so again holds a lot of weight, and you can see we're really struggling. We're getting support, and then we're finding support again. So I do think we're actually going to push back up a little bit higher. You see we found resistance here, we found support perfectly here, we found support. So again, another really high impact area that we're coming in. So I do think we will see a little bit more price action in a bullish manner. Maybe back up to these highs here, really 122,480, or we could break below. But again, like we always say, we're prepared for either way. Breaking this level here is quite significant, I think. But we do still have to retrace this big move. You can see here, this would typically be an area that I would like to take a low from to the high. So we're just broken at 0.382, might come back down to 0.5, maybe even the 0.6. These are really nice areas of the market. You can see here, these wicks, real nice areas of the market that we could potentially come back into, because they've been respected very well. We see here, and then we've had that push up. So again, a real nice area, and then we've got a smaller area over here, and that is the 0.5 Fibonacci. So we could have price action come back down to an area like this. But again, until it tells us what it wants to do, we're not going to be getting in any of these trades. We're just going to, we understand that the market is bullish. We are having the sellers in control right now, but the overall sentiment for me, I think, is going to be bullish once we have a little bit more of a pullback. But again, we'll wait and see. If we do get a chance to get in some sell opportunities, then of course we're going to capitalise on that. And then in the daily, we've got quite a big shooting star candle on the daily for EUR/CAD. Nice little push away. We'll wait and see what happens, because it could just be a small retracement to a further bullish move. Let's go to the weekly and see what we can see. We have broken that weekly trend line though. We've broken that weekly trend line. We're coming back into some dynamic weekly resistance on the 50 EMA. But we did have that big bullish momentum. So you've got to weigh up quite a few things. You've got to weigh up the momentum, you've got to weigh up the market sentiment, you've got to figure out if there are any levels that you've missed out. You've got to make sure that your patterns are on point, and you've got to make sure that you're scaling down from the monthly or the weekly to get the overall picture of what's actually going on, and to see any long-term trend lines that you may have missed, because 9 times out of 10, if something reverses on you and all the signs were there that it was to go in a bullish or a bearish direction, and it completely reverses on you, it's because there's something that you've missed out, whether it be a really key level that you've just not scaled out further enough, or it will be a real key area of support resistance in the form of a trend line. So that's all the pairs that we're going to be looking at for this week. I understand it's a lot, we're not going to be trading them all, of course. We're going to group them. For example, if we've got, say, 4 Swiss pairs, we're only going to be getting in one of those, because one of them is going to offer the best risk to reward, and you get a feel for, just by looking through the markets time and time again, you get a feel for the ones that are moving slightly better than others, and where the best chances of hitting your take profit a little bit quicker are. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Again, shoot us questions, any messages, and you'll get us on social. So we hope everyone has a great week. We hope it's a profitable one, and we'll see you Wednesday at 7 for the market recap. So until then, guys, speak soon.